individual people are affecting change, whether they're going to Africa to build classrooms for kids, whether they're raising money, millions and millions of dollars through charity, or whether or not they're just finding someone and believing in them. I mean, if, as an entrepreneur, what's the worst possible thing someone can tell you as an entrepreneur? It's not that your idea sucks. It's not that it's not that you'll not be successful. No, I think the worst possible thing you could ever tell an entrepreneur is to get a job. And I recently had someone tell this to me. And I tried explaining to them that my job was what I was doing, and I really kind of lost it on the first sentence. But I do think somewhere inside there's great opportunity. So how many people here follow me on Twitter? I'm just curious. So, if you know why, you may not, so you may notice I say good morning when it's probably still evening here. Or it's good morning to me is wherever I am relative in the world. And this comes from a time, because I grew up, and I still today, I'll argue, I mean, I think that I'm always alone. I could be in a crowd of 350 people and still feel alone. It's just part of who I am. And so, as a kid, my way to escape loneliness was to discover amateur radio. And for me as a kid, imagine if you spent 3.5 years studying to take a test to go on the internet. That's sort of what I did from the time I was 9 to 12. I taught myself electronic theory and Morse code, and taught myself rules and regulations of amateur radio. And then one day when I was 12 and a half, I had a license to communicate with the world. And so before school and after school, I used to be on the radio 40 to 60 hours a week. My school life kind of suffered sometimes, but I had fun. And it was growing up was kind of nice because I had a chance to be a person. See, it didn't matter, real life didn't matter. My virtual world was the radio. My virtual world, I was Jeff from New York. It didn't matter how old I was. It didn't matter what I did for a living. And I just, in a few simple sentences, I had friends from around the world, and it was kind of nice. And in amateur radio lingo, I just had to send out what was called the CQ, or seeking you, and that people responded back. And so each morning before I go to school, I would say CQ, CQ, this is WA2BOT calling CQ. And if any of you ever used the instant messaging platform of ICQ, that was built by amateur radio operators too, and ICQ is I'm seeking you. So instead of saying CQ, I say good morning. It's much easier. And in the world that this internet's become, it's a flat world. So when it's 6 o'clock in the morning in New York, you got maybe 3 a.m. in LA. It's 6 p.m. in Perth, Australia. It's 11 o'clock in the morning in London. It's noon in Paris. It's 1 o'clock in the afternoon in Tel Aviv. And I'm aware of this, and so I use Twitter as a platform to communicate with people and to connect. And that it doesn't matter whether or not the person I'm talking to has 1 follower or 1 million followers. I look at everybody as a person. And I believe that there's a real value in connecting people with people. And the conversations, maybe they're kind of light, and maybe you think you take it for granted, but I never do. I mean, if you ever had anyone die in your life, and you realize you never had a chance to say goodbye, you start to appreciate the living more than you know. And the subtleties of such cliches of go out to smell the roses comes down real hard sometimes. And so, I don't take any conversation for granted. I don't assume anything of anyone. I'm there just to communicate if somebody wants to say hello back. I do notice that if someone does have a lot of followers or is following a lot of people, if they're silent, if everybody on Twitter is silent, no one's talking. And if you're waiting for someone to talk to you, you might want to go out and start a conversation with somebody else, because maybe other people are going to be shy. And so there's a whole ecosystem here. And so what I like anyway is the fact that we have a platform that you can be discovered. It doesn't matter what you do as long as you're a person. If you're connecting with bots, I don't have much to tell you. But it's a much different world that we're living in right now. And so the last conference in New York, I was really fortunate to bring together so many diverse people from so many walks of life, both on stage and in the audience. And coming up in October, I'm going to have another 140 conference here in LA. I am looking for some help though. I did manage to do the New York conference more or less by myself, working somewhere between 90 and 110 hours a week for 5 months. And it's kind of overwhelming. And so I'm sorry? Well, I'm looking for October 5th and 6th. That's my first dates. My backup dates are October 26th, 27th. I'm looking for a venue, but I'm also looking for interesting people to share the stage with. I'm sorry? Okay. So I'm looking for venues. I'm going to try to find venues, and I'm also looking for people. And what I was hoping to do today was to ask you if you're interested in speaking either in LA or London, which is also be in October. I'm adding Boston to the schedule in September. And if you know of anyone who's interesting or you're interested and you want to have a voice, you're invited to come and pitch. It really doesn't matter what you talk about as long as you somehow figure out how to connect your passion with the real-time internet and how it's affecting lives or how it's affecting what you're doing, or if there's a story or someone that you want to share it with. We had a last in New York. How many people here were actually in the New York conference? I know a few of you were, right? So how about Chris Lehman, the principal from Philadelphia? First time in 14 years. This guy, you should watch the video. He got a standing ovation, right? And all he spoke about was actually teaching and actually getting teachers who were engaged with students, which makes total sense to me. But getting up and talking about that, and actually LA was pretty well represented, I must say. We had Bob did the real estate panel. Julia did. We did love. We did dating. We had quite a number of folks, and Jeff was Jeff's here. Jeff's Rago. You were our LA ambassador. And there's a lot of stuff. So if there's something that you're interested in or want to talk about, you're invited to pitch. I can't offer everyone who wants to talk a chance to speak at the LA conference, but I'm willing to try. Also, from now until October, I'll be coming here. I'll try every month. Maybe not for such large gatherings, but to share stories and to connect. And I will be back June, July, August, and probably September leading up to the conference, trying to build momentum. But the way the 140 conference works, really, it's a worldwide experience. You see, what you're doing with the real-time internet here in LA, even though you may not know the folks in London or the folks in New York, or the folks in Tel Aviv or anywhere, we're all going through this together. And one of the things that I've really enjoyed is the opportunities to watch relationships happen, so that when people cross-connect on the conferences, virtually or in real life, friendships are born and relationships are created, and that's fun for me. My vested interest in all of this is trying to make the world a little better place, or at least knowing that I tried, or at least knowing that I helped to connect somebody with somebody else, because it's that serendipity that makes it all worth doing. Because otherwise, I'm sure there are other things I could do than fly here all day and come talk for 15 or 20 minutes. But I thank you for coming. I hope you have fun tonight. I really want to thank Eric for everything that he did to make it work here. A slight plug to you. We should certainly thank Comedy Store and Yahoo and everybody else, but really I thank you. Really, the 140 conferences are sponsored by the you and the me's, but it's the yous that make it happen, because without you, I wouldn't be here. Without you, none of us would be here. So while there's always a commercial side to making these things viable, without you being a part of it, none of this would happen. So thank you for being part of this, and thank you for being here tonight. And I'll see you all at the
The man gives genuine hugs. Try one. One more time for Jeff Pulver. Hey, Jeff, you promised you'd be dancing tonight at the Viper Room. Is that true? We'll see. I would get there early, because if I know Jeff, he's probably got a red eye to some country tonight, and he'll have to get out of there quickly.
I'll be there.
Yeah, he'll be there. He's not going to miss an LA party. You should have seen him last time. I have video. I will sell it to you. We all have video. What, can I buy yours? All right, before I go any further, I want to thank these sponsors one more time that are behind me. But I'd also like my volunteers to please stand up. I didn't do this by myself. In fact, I really didn't do anything. Luann Johnson, please stand up. Ashley Smith, please stand up. Chris Foley, stand up, please. Stay standing, please. Rebecca Quinn, Aaliyah Williams, Stacy Soler, get up. Priscilla Willis, Wendy Benden, and Karen Zimmer. If you'd like to help with the next Pound 140 Conf, LA Meetup, capital L, capital A, capital M, those are separated words with a space. It's very important that you do it that way.